I'm Marcus, the supervillain in a Xianxia romance novel. I should have had a glorious afterlife, but a nameless little disciple from a minor sect stabbed me to death. Unexpectedly, I was reborn on the day I was poisoned. My little sister, little Rose, shyly and tearfully said, "I'll give up my purity to save my senior brother." But I heard her triumphant inner voice. So what if he's the future Lord? He'll still grovel at my feet. I slapped her against the stone wall. "Idiot! I've been poisoned by the most potent and vicious venom. Legend says there's no cure in the 3 realms. In 3 days I'll bleed from all 7 orifices and turn into a puddle of black water." Outside the cave, a torrential downpour raged, lightning and thunder clashing. Little Rose, Victoria, flew in on her sword, drenched to the skin. Her thin dress clung to her body, revealing her alluring figure. "Senior brother, why are you so flushed?" she asked, approaching rapidly. I glared at her, snarling, "Get away from me!" Seeing my murderous expression, Victoria recoiled, asking, "Senior brother, are you poisoned?" I ignored her, sat cross-legged and focused my energy to suppress the poison. Victoria whimpered and then hummed, pressing closer. With a look of self-righteousness, she said, "I'm willing to. I care more about your safety than my purity." She added hesitantly, "Rest assured, tonight's events will remain between us two." Her eyes were shy and tearful, her cheeks flushed, her orange tunic slipping from her waist. But I heard her inner laughter. "After tonight, this most untamable demon in the 3 realms will be completely devoted to me." I half closed my eyes, slowly raising my hand towards her face. Victoria's excited inner screams pierced my ears. "Mira's the heroine, so what? The man she cares about will never even glance at her. She's at my mercy. It's been pre-agreed. Successful conquest of Marcus doubles my points." "Oh." Victoria's terrifying red lips were an inch away. I couldn't take it anymore. The spiritual energy in my palm had gathered. With a flick of my wrist, I used all my strength to slap her against the stone wall. "Idiot! Can't you understand a simple command? Get lost." Victoria, clutching her swollen face, said incredulously, "Senior brother, what's wrong with you?" "I'm your little sister, your favorite little sister." I wanted to slap her again. A white shadow appeared in the sky, flying through the storm. I quickly suppressed all my spiritual energy, abandoning the poison suppression. I loosened my neatly bound hair, ripped open my clothes to reveal my impressive physique, and stumbled towards the newcomer, shouting, "Second sister, I feel so bad." Mira caught me, a hint of concern in her usually cold and distant eyes. "Junior brother, what happened?" I leaned my head against her shoulder, whimpering and groaning. "I'm poisoned and in so much pain. Sister, please save me." Mira looked gravely at Victoria, first wondering why my little sister hadn't used magic to avoid the rain, leaving her so disheveled. Then she said, "I only have 2 teleportation talismans. The situation is urgent. Let's take him back to the Sect. If you're fine, you can fly back yourself." Victoria, still shaken, nodded dumbly. I couldn't wait, tugging at Mira's white veil. "Sister, look at me, ignore her." Mira caught my hand. "Hold on tight," she said, and we set off. Before we entered the teleportation vortex, Victoria's raucous inner voice continued, "He doesn't dislike Mira, does he? What a fawning lickspittle. This is the cold and aloof, later charismatic and tyrannical demon king from the script, completely different from his past self." A cold, childish voice said, "The script does describe him that way. The venom I bought with all my points yielded nothing. Refund my points." "My name is Marcus. I'm the supervillain in a Xianxia romance novel, the future demon king of the Sect, a cultivator with a genius facade, the demon lord who wreaked havoc on the 3 realms. Arrogant, cruel, bloodthirsty, obsessive, neurotic, a madman, possessive. Every imaginable negative adjective was thrown at me. In my past life, I was killed by a sword piercing my heart when I awakened, my demon pill exploding. I spent 10,000 years working as a beast of burden in the great thousand world to earn this rebirth. literally working as a beast of burden. I should have had a brilliant future, but a nameless little Sect disciple killed me. The 4 seas and 8 desolates celebrated for a whole month. All the sects hailed Victoria as the light of the immortal realm. I was nailed to a divine pillar by the demon-breaking sword. I vaguely remembered that Victoria, when we were both disciples, used to chatter endlessly by my side. After tens of thousands of years, she was still a minor inner disciple. She could even wield the demon-breaking sword. The immortals joined forces to destroy my body and soul. I suddenly heard her talking to something called the supporting character's counterattack system. I feel so sorry to part with Marcus. This obsessive, insane, but only loves me persona is so captivating. A childish voice said, "You're a supporting character. Conquering the male lead is the important task. But the male lead, Lucas, still cares about Mira. Oh well, Mira's already dead. I'm now a beloved darling. Once I ascend to immortality for eliminating the demon, his eyes will only be on me. All the conquest tasks will be completed. I only love Victoria." I was puzzled. In the past, she always held the team back during training. More than half of the sect had either died or been maimed because of her. Being from the same sect as her filled me with shame. I couldn't help but casually advise her. This is called falling for. A broken system, shitty judgment. Mira brought me back to the sect's back mountain to her quarters. Mira, a herbalist with a cottage in a secluded valley, cultivated an entire backyard filled with magical herbs. Her antidote pills could cure any poison. Little Fish, her second senior sister, though aloof, was generous and always helped injured disciples with her remedies. This was my first time seeking her aid. In my past life I never had. Mira brought me to her backyard and asked, "How are you feeling?" "Worse," I replied. "It's burning." I grasped her hands, pressing them to my cheeks. "Feel it." She coldly withdrew her hands. "Junior brother, why are you so affected?" "It's my nature," I said. "You've been too focused on your cultivation, sister." She opened and closed her mouth, then said, "Stay here, don't move, I'll prepare some herbs." "Wait, sister," I interrupted. "It's the most potent love, only one method can cure it." Mira, her face stern, pulled my open collar closed. "What method?" "If you can do it, sister," I said, sweating profusely. I leaned close and whispered in her ear. Her light brown eyes flickered, her cheeks tinged with pink. "Fine," she said. "Deal." Victoria appeared 100 yards from the cottage, wailing, "Master, I'm so worried about Little Fish. I begged you and elder brother to come. The poison has no cure. Dark Lord can only find a woman. It takes 3 days and nights. It's been 2 days. I haven't seen them." She wept. Lucas, tall and poised, opened the cottage door. "Let's see," he said calmly, though his unsteady gait betrayed him. My movements intensified. Mira's face changed, her brows furrowing as she was forced to follow my rhythm. "Stop this nonsense," she cried. Marcus stopped. "Sister promised to have fun with me. How can you go back on your word?" "Then slow down," she replied. Victoria rejoiced inwardly. The poison was potent. If Lucas discovered Mira's supposed infidelity, he'd be devastated, giving me my chance. The system's voice chirped. "Host, you're brilliant, Mira," Lucas roared. A blast of icy energy shattered the cottage, leveling it to the ground. "How dare you?" His rage a fiery inferno descending from the sky. Victoria grinned, running and screaming, "Oh my God!" "What are you doing, sister and brother?" The destruction revealed the backyard. Victoria stammered, You rest?" Mira and I stood side by side. I smiled. "Cultivation requires clothing. Little Rose, don't you dress during your practice?" "Of course I do," she retorted. Elder brother Henry asked belatedly, "Mira, what's going on?" Lucas's eyes, sharp as knives, darted between Mira and me. I twirled my sword, shrugging. "Sword practice, of course." Mira nodded and curtsied to Lucas. "Greetings, master." Victoria, incredulous, exclaimed, "Wasn't Dark Lord poisoned?" "Sister already neutralized it," I said. I agreed to let her use my body for a magical herb experiment, and she'll accompany me in practicing my new moves. "Look, this is a gift from her yesterday." I showed off a gleaming silver sword. "A fine sword, isn't it, little Rose?" Lucas turned away, coldly rebuking, "Foolish! A man and a woman alone. It'll ruin the Sect's reputation." Mira spoke first. "Innocence fears no shadow. A tainted mind sees corruption everywhere." I nodded vigorously. "Exactly, sister." Lucas' face grim left. Mira's creation of the antidote spread rapidly. The poison that had baffled the elders was solved. It was me who secretly spread the news to boost her reputation. I'd planned to poison myself, but she made the antidote in under half an hour. Mira's talent was exceptional, then and now. In our sect, our cultivation levels were almost equal, ranking first among the disciples. Then I turned to the dark side, determined to become a demon lord, while Mira became the closest thing to a divine lady. They called us the two stars, Castor and Pollux, fellow disciples, equals in power, yet destined to be adversaries. Remembering Victoria's words from my past life, I sighed. If we're twin stars, how did I become the demon king while you perished? Mira appeared, a gust of wind swirling around her, and asked, "What are you muttering about?" "I went down the mountain the other day and met a gambler. I ended up becoming his great-grandson," I said. "Just tell me," she said impatiently. "Your herb garden is too much work, sister. My hands hurt, my feet ache, and my head is dizzy." Mira's face showed fear I hadn't seen in centuries. She let me go. A few days later, I found notes on the antidote in her journal: side effects, possible personality changes, delirium, and intermittent madness. The antidote cannot eliminate the side effects. Marcus's strange symptoms had persisted for days, terrifying. Challenged Mira daily, insisting on a duel, but we always ended in a draw. Eventually, she ignored my challenges, dragging me into her cottage and engaging in physical sparring. Two towering icebergs, once distant, were now inseparable. The whispers of the other disciples followed me, their expressions oddly curious. I paid it no mind until one day, elder brother and little fish, both known for their short tempers, approached me. "It's been hard on you, keeping it all in this long," elder brother said. "If you can't take it anymore, tell master." His younger brother then wept, embracing him. "Oh, elder brother, you poor thing." The two brothers left, weeping and hugging. I wandered to the creek, my head bowed. "Mira," I muttered, "who is that lopsided, ugly creature? Where's that handsome fellow gone?" No wonder she'd been so serious after each acupuncture session, warning me against looking in the mirror and showering me with rare treasures. Fine, I said. "I'll go find Mira and get my revenge." I found her impassive and was met with a handful of laughter powder. "Ha ha ha. You'll get your handsome face back, ha ha ha. Just you wait, ha ha ha. I'll be back tomorrow, ha ha ha. For revenge." If Victoria hadn't had her accident, I would have almost forgotten this was a tragic novel. That day, Henry rushed in, cradling the blood-soaked Victoria, alarming the entire monastery. Mira, her dress torn, her right hand still bleeding, followed silently behind. Everyone was frantic for their beloved little Rose, oblivious to Mira. I spat out a blade of grass and approached. "Sister Little Rose is back from her training so soon? You missed me?" "The cliff of whispers is steep," Mira said without looking at me. "The sacred Vanna spring herb only grows in the most dangerous places. I planned to get it myself, but Little Rose wouldn't let me go alone. I finally got the herb, but she fell off the cliff. The bottom is teeming with evil creatures. By the time I found her, Mira stared blankly into the distance, still reeling from the shock. I crossed my arms and laughed. "Her luck really stinks." Mira's brow twitched imperceptibly. "I didn't push her. I believe you," I said firmly, wiping the blood from her cheek. "My sister is the best. She couldn't have pushed Victoria." Mira finally looked at me. Marcus, her voice trembled, her lips quivering as she fought back tears. My heart ached. I temporarily stemmed the bleeding and took her hand. Let's go see what mischief that thing is up to again. I vaguely remembered this incident from a past life, but I'd always been a loner, never interfering in the monastery's affairs. I only heard that one person was critically injured and 4 died. Mira was condemned by the entire monastery. Only after she sacrificed half her cultivation did Lucas end the matter, taking away half her cultivation, almost killing her. Mira and I entered the hall. Lucas's face hardened. His gaze lingered on our clasped hands. Mira, do you know what you've done? An invisible pressure bore down on Mira, forcing her to her knees, her hand wrenching free from mine. I'm sorry, Master, she said. You are unrepentant, Lucas stated, striking Mira's chest with a blow that snapped her ribs. I immediately protected her heart and scoffed. Condemning without knowing the truth? That's a truly just master. Lucas's gaze was like daggers. Marcus, do you wish to join her in punishment? Victoria, her breath shallow, spoke weakly. Master, please calm down. Sister Mira was probably just nervous about the Vana Spring herb and tried to catch me. I fell accidentally. Don't defend her, little Rose. She was clearly afraid of you getting the herb. Henry stepped forward, his face filled with disappointment. Mira, you've changed. I always thought you were cold, but I never imagined you to be so cruel and vicious, harming a fellow disciple for a single herb. Master, this is so hard. Victoria coughed up a mouthful of black blood and fainted. I clicked my tongue. Why didn't she die? Victoria remained unconscious for 7 days, attended by Lucas. Mira's punishment was postponed. On the 7th night, Henry came again. Victoria was awake but gravely injured, her heart and core damaged. The Vana Spring herb was the perfect cure. Lucas announced that if Mira didn't hand over the herb, she would have to give up half her cultivation to restore Victoria. So, that's how it was. I saw determination on Mira's face for the first time. She would rather sacrifice half her cultivation than give up the herb. Sister, do you believe me? I asked. There are 2 Vana Spring herbs in the world. When you are better, we'll find the other one. Mira nodded. I took the herb from her, throwing it at Henry's feet. Here's your precious herb. You've both disappointed Master and me. I drew my sword, a surge of energy erupting from its sheath, carving a deep fissure before Henry's feet. Henry's face turned pale as he disappeared. Mira insisted on seeing Victoria. I had to follow. Then we saw it. Victoria called out, Master. Her voice, already sweet, held a vulnerable fragility from her illness. It's cold. Go back inside. Lucas said, his voice soft, laced with intoxication. I can't sleep. I miss you, Master. Are you sad? Is it because little fish disappointed you? Lucas gave a soft, non-committal The girl suddenly lifted her head, her lips brushing his. This makes it better, doesn't it? Lucas, his usually frozen face, softened. The goblet tipped, the curtain fell. Oh, the sin of it all! I quickly covered Mira's ears and hugged her close, fleeing as quickly as possible. At the foot of the mountain, I released her, coughing. Filthy language! Victoria's expression was unreadable. Sister, I began cautiously. Didn't you want to see a play last month? There's a new tavern at the foot of the mountain with a stage. Shall we go? She shook her head, her eyes vacant. Then how about we go back and try the new herbs? You can continue to be my test subject, and I can practice my moxibustion technique. Marcus, I said, a sudden realization dawning on me. I know what Sister needs. I firmly grasped her hand and we soared on our swords to the forbidden zone in the back mountains of the Sect, the deepest part of the shadowy Blackwood forests, a place almost impossible to reach. We found a small waterfall cascading down a rocky cliff. Underneath, I dug up a flask of wine. After less than 10 sips, Mira's cheeks flushed crimson and her eyes gleamed. Sister, would you like to hear some music? I sing beautifully. She nodded repeatedly, settling down with the flask. I hopped onto a large rock by the pool and sang 5 long pieces in one breath. The Lotus Case, Du Xinyang, Zhao Zhen Nu, songs I learned while toiling in other worlds. I almost felt like inserting Lucas's name into the lyrics. Mira, dazed, looked up. My chest feels strange, she murmured, her voice tinged with pain. I sighed, looking at this usually composed woman, so untouched by romance. You're upset, I said. She frowned, utterly, bewildered. Why? Because you like Lucas, but he's not worthy. I despise him. In a previous life, he'd been afflicted by a love-inducing curse, mistaking Victoria for Mira. Afterward, he'd repented profusely, shamelessly confessing his love to Mira, who'd refused him. Their messy entanglement had even reached the demon realm, filling my ears with their story. This time around, Victoria had been the victim of the curse, and yet here was Lucas repeating his mistakes, a greedy, gluttonous creature. My heart ached for her. Little fish, I whispered, if you don't like him, you won't be sad anymore. Mira, slightly drunk, glared at me and swiped at me with a palm strike. Don't call me that, I'm your elder sister. She nearly knocked the wind out of me. I lay back on the rock, moonlight bathing my face, and stole a glance at her. No way, I thought. Little fish, how adorable. I tilted the flask and finished the strong wine, swallowing down more unshed words. Little fish, I muttered. Like me, like in our past life. In my previous life, the immortals joined forces to destroy me, but a fragment of my soul escaped. That sliver of soul was reborn in the mortal realm as a helpless invalid, blind, mute, and completely paralyzed. Luckily, I still had my handsome face. When my mother died of a cold, no one in the village wanted to take care of me. They planned to leave me to die. Then a dissolute young lord from town, attempting to abduct the village beauty, stumbled upon me. Wow, he exclaimed, such beauty. What a waste if such a handsome man dies. He took me away. The village head, unable to bear it, pleaded my case. He's just an invalid, sir. He can't do any work in your manor. He's useless. Nonsense, the lord retorted. Beautiful is enough. I sighed inwardly, vexed by my attractive looks for the first time. I thought my stolen mortal life would be longer. I was about to bite my tongue and end it, when a blood-curdling scream pierced the air. A dagger clattered to the floor. My descents. The young lord howled in agony. Chaos erupted in the room. I could see nothing, but small hands grabbed me tightly. The world spun. I was lying on someone's small back, the journey jarring and rough. Eventually they stopped. Don't be afraid, a girl whispered. I'm not a bad person. Her voice was oddly familiar, though I couldn't place it. My name is Little Fish. She was the village beauty, the one my mother often praised for her kindness and beauty. We're both victims of that scoundrel. I crippled him, she said calmly. Her voice belied her age. My family's gone, and you're alone too. Let's run away. Be my family, okay? I tried to speak but couldn't, she smiled. Silence means yes. The scent of osmanthus filled the air. I smiled back. Little Fish took me on the run for half a year, finally settling at the foot of Mount Dreamhaven. There was a kind village nearby, and we settled there. She was incredibly quick to learn, becoming a skilled fisherwoman, truly living up to her name. She also perfected her unique fish buns, famed throughout the area. Later, she studied medicine, gathering herbs and giving me massages daily, until slowly, miraculously, I was healed. On the day my sight returned, the osmanthus trees in the courtyard were in full bloom. The sky wasn't the usual dazzling blue, and the sunlight was less vibrant, but the girl's smiling eyes were brighter than any star. The face I'd vaguely remembered for millennia was now clear and sharp. Can you see me? She asked. After a long pause, I nodded. Long time no see, Mira. Fate was indeed wondrous. In the sect we'd barely interacted, seldom seeing each other. The conflict between immortals and demons made it even more unlikely. And now, here we were, together. Who said the stars of the constellation of the two ox herds and the weaver girl could never meet? They could if they fell. Being mortal was good. No world-ending disasters. "Dearest," Mira said, her cheeks flushed. "What are you thinking about?" "Dinner," I replied, taking a braised chicken leg from her bowl. "Tonight's little fish." She stole my chicken leg. "Not tonight. No, many nights to come." "Wife, you don't love me anymore. My heart hurts. A kiss will make it better. I love you still, not tonight." 10 years we had known each other in the mortal realm. 5 years we were wed. We had a child, and with it, a cataclysm. An ancient, man-eating beast sealed beneath Mount Dream escaped. Victoria appeared alongside it, the beast ravaging the village, leaving a river of blood in its wake. Countless villagers were slaughtered. The beast bared its fangs at Mira, but Victoria finally stopped it. A voice echoed from the sky. "So, your spirit lamp hasn't gone out. You've been reincarnated here." She glanced at me near death, her expression shifting from surprise to pity. "You're reincarnated too. Blame Mira. If you hadn't been with her, you wouldn't have died." Mira coughed up blood, asking Victoria, "I've given up everything, hidden my identity. Why?" My heart ached, but I was too weak to speak. "If you don't die, the spirit lamp won't extinguish and Lucas will always have hope. My quest was always just a little short. The innocent villagers. Victoria, you'll face divine retribution." Victoria, overlooking it all, laughed radiantly. "I am now the divine lady, a revered figure. The entire celestial realm favors me. What retribution?" Mira, lifeless, leaned towards me, her breath shallow. "At least spare him." But Victoria looked disgusted. "I heard you married and are expecting a child. 3 filth must die." Her conversation with her system resumed. "I'm not interested in dirty men. If Marcus hadn't been tricked into marrying Mira, I would have taken him." The system's childish voice urged, "Hurry up. You've been out too long, Lucas will notice." With a command, Mira was ground to dust by the beast. Blood rain fell, warm like Mira's embrace, blinding me. I returned to a world without her. "Elder brother, wake up!" I awoke in a small hut, Mira absent. On the table sat the wine we'd shared the previous night. A young disciple knelt nearby, panicked. "Master intends to strip little fish of her cultivation for dereliction of duty, failing to protect her fellow disciples during training." I rushed to the main hall. Mira knelt in the center of the celestial altar, an ice chain piercing her shoulders. I unleashed my power, shattering the barrier within me, roaring, "You shameless thing, dare you touch her!" The chains broke, everyone recoiled. Dark clouds gathered, lightning flashed, thunder boomed. Someone shouted, "Demon, demonic energy! Marcus is an evil cultivator." I channeled my magic, forming a dark sword aimed at Victoria. Lucas's face paled, he intercepted the attack. Victoria was puzzled. Strange. In the past life, Marcus despised Mira. Why does he protect her now? The system chirped. "Lucas is the male protagonist. Don't waste energy on side characters." I'd thought targeting multiple characters would be a shortcut. It seems not. I want to kill her. I'd simply been indifferent in the past life. Lucas chanted a spell, striking me down. "Your ways are lawless, your heart corrupt, Marcus. You are no longer of the celestial sect." Mira stumbled towards me, desperate. "Marcus, no! Don't leave!" Lucas, with a cruel smile, activated the 10 directions array, trapping her. I saw her shattered image, regretting deeply. "Fish lady, remember what I said last night? Stop liking Lucas. You deserve better. Focus on your cultivation, ascend to greater heights." Lucas's strike shattered my meridians. While recovering, Victoria found me. "Marcus, a deal? Let's hear it. I know your future. If I tell you how to avoid your death, you swear to protect me, serve me." I laughed hysterically. You wouldn't be suggesting I'm the future Lord, Supreme Ruler, destined to bring chaos to the three realms, would you? Her triumphant expression stiffened. This life was by my design. Would she not know her future? Victoria's features twisted. I toiled for ages, nearly completing the mission, only to inexplicably restart. It was you, Marcus. You shall die. She revealed the demon-slaying sword, pulsing with golden runes. I narrowed my eyes. It's in your hands? The sword chooses its master. It wouldn't change. It's a divine artifact, loyal to the heart. Victoria laughed maniacally. So I had to kill Mira. Lucas is so easy to manipulate. A few tears, and he does my bidding, allowing me to consume her inner core, absorb her cultivation, use her heart. Since you can't serve me, die. She plunged the sword into my chest. Divine artifacts are truly something, they hurt more. Ignoring the pain, I seized the sword, preventing her from removing it. Impossible. You. I pulled out the sword, thrusting it into her chest, pinning her to a tree. Victoria, lowering her head, revealed her chest. There was no demonic energy, only a golden aura. Conveniently, I'm still on the path of righteousness, not yet a demon. This trinket can't erase me. They just casually muttered an incantation, thinking I'd fall into darkness. So easily fooled. I was born a dark god. Right and wrong are one. In my past life, I dedicated myself to the righteous path, slowly discovering that so-called righteous sects were mostly selfish, narrow-minded, and hypocritical, committing evil deeds in the name of justice. I simply abandoned my immortal roots and entered the demonic path. Ironically, the three realms enjoyed unprecedented peace during the tens of thousands of years I reigned as Demon King. Whenever the celestial clans started wars, I'd casually deal with them, dispatching them with minimal effort. Looking back, the quality of the celestial realm was probably influenced by Victoria. Someone like her could become a divine lady. If it weren't for luring out this demon-slaying sword, you would have died the day you poisoned me. In my past life, you shattered my body and soul. This life, you'll taste the same. I broke Victoria's bones, severed her soul, and reveled in her screams. I changed my mind. Instead of killing her, she'll live in eternal agony. Victoria frantically called out to her system, but only silence answered. I laughed even harder. Remember what Mira said before she died in our past life, Victoria? I am your divine retribution. I extracted her inner core, draining her cultivation. Every bit of suffering Mira endured, she would endure. Victoria's face contorted in pain, her body convulsing. How could she possibly beg for a second chance? You have a system, and I have mine. I kept her alive while slowly gouging out her heart and crushing it with a palm strike. The demon-slaying sword flickered, its binding connections severed. Have you ever considered what lies above the system? Above the system is heaven. You have your system, I have my heaven. I tapped her face with the sword. Since I promised not to kill you, I'll keep my word. What to use for a heart? A rustling sound came from the woods. A black furred boar poked its head out. I smirked slowly. Just right. No. Marcus, I hate you. I cast a silencing spell, swiftly replacing her heart with the boar's. Worried she might seek death, I added a blood curse as a blessing, eternally locking her soul in this ravaged body, yet granting her immortality. I'm not Mira. I have no great love. From now on, you're a waste, neither immortal nor demon, not even an ordinary mortal. Just waste away year after year. I left Victoria at the entrance of the celestial gate and returned to my healing grounds. The moon hung high, just like the night Mira and I were wed. I closed my eyes. The faint scent of osmanthus filled the air. My remaining life begins. Mira was the protagonist, destined for a brilliant future, and I should have had a brilliant future with Mira. Marcus, I opened my eyes. Mira's world has returned. I laughed at her. What are you doing here? Abandoning your sect? Mira's smile was serene and carefree. Cultivation is also cultivation of the mind. Ultimately, only you can cultivate your mind. Back then I shamelessly begged Lucas to take me as his disciple. Now, it's all settled. She left behind a courtyard filled with rare treasures and immortal herbs. I sensed her empty foundation, my head throbbing in anger. Why can't you say something nice? Why be so honest and give him your cultivation? Isn't it because I'm here? Teach me everything from scratch. Mira poked my face. Want to travel with me? I poked her back. I'm walking the path of a heretic. Aren't you afraid I'll become a demon and become your enemy? So what if I'm a heretic? Even dark gods can be good. I closed my eyes, feigning distress, and after a moment's hesitation, nodded. A violent wind swept through the forest. Lucas landed before us, his hair disheveled, his elegance gone. You came out so eagerly just to entangle yourself with a heretic? Come back to the celestial gate immediately. I will overlook everything that happened. I held Mira's hand tightly. Go back to being treated differently. Since you favor Victoria, favor her to the end. Don't let your blindness and prejudice ruin my fish lady's future. Lucas glared at me, then at Mira. I do favor Victoria, but everything I've done is because I love you, wanting you to notice me. You always have such a cold expression. Mira, why not just be a little soft towards me? I felt sorry for Mira. True love doesn't force change. You only want a person from your imagination, constantly pushing her, never caring about her feelings. Mira looked coldly at Lucas, the affection gone. If having relations with Victoria is your way of showing your love, I'm afraid I can't understand. Our fate is over. I'm moving on. Lucas's excited expression froze. Victoria told you. No, don't listen to her nonsense. We have no relationship. I grinned. Denying it is useless. Fish lady and I saw it. Oh. The color drained from Lucas's face as if he'd been paralyzed. I turned with Mira, leaving our worries behind, stepping onto the broad road. Where's your weapon? I asked. It belongs to the celestial gate. I didn't take it. You always berate me. Why aren't you more clever now? What if I had taken it? Lucas wouldn't be able to chase us down. He's afraid I'll die on the road. I didn't even have time to fill my pouch before leaving. Mira opened her waist pouch, revealing several immortal herbs. I was speechless. I threw the demon-slaying sword at her. Use this from now on. Where did you get it? Why didn't I see you with it before? Picked it up by the road. It's a good thing. Quickly bond it with your blood. Mira treasured it. My eyes crinkled at the corners. Marcus, you've had quite the personality transplant. Moody, unpredictable, occasionally erratic, but still you're pretty good. My mouth twitched as I stared at her. My good qualities far outweigh my bad ones. You can certainly give it a try, I muttered. Mira suddenly stopped. Wait, I forgot something. Where is it? I need to go get it. Behind the bamboo hut, in the ground. The whole yard is full of them. Not bad, you've finally wised up. Why not take advantage of a good deal? Our 10th year of travels together. News arrived that Victoria and Lucas were to be wed. Knowing Victoria, she certainly put in the effort. Mira simply hummed in response, then looked up from a stack of medical texts. Come on. I've developed a new acupuncture technique last night. Let me give you a try. Then I'm having a roast chicken leg and fish-filled buns tonight. Fine. I'll make them for you. 100 years passed, then another. Mira ascended to immortality. On the eve of her ascension, Lucas fell to darkness. Consumed by unrequited love and twisted resentment, he became bound to Victoria, his mind warped, going mad and slaughtering immortals. Victoria, with my heartfelt blessings, survived, though left crippled. It was Mira who ended Lucas, the only one who could undo what he had done. With a single piercing strike, she ended his life, quelled the rebellion, and severed the karmic ties of the mortal realm. She ascended, bathed in the golden light pouring down from a cloudless sky. a sight so breathtakingly beautiful that I couldn't look away. I was thankful she didn't remember their brief past life connection, thankful I never voiced my feelings. Fish shouldn't be trapped in a river called love. She should swim in the vast and colorful ocean. I stared at the mountain of notes in the room, each page, each scroll filled with Mira's script. I flipped through a few pages, then tossed them aside. What a mess! This is giving me a headache. After Mira's departure, I continued my cultivation. Upon achieving immortality, I settled in Mount Dreamhaven. The seals on the demonic array weakened with the passage of time, and it escaped. This time I didn't let it succeed. With one stroke, I decapitated it, saving the village. The villagers, recovering from their terror, expressed their gratitude. I took the notes Mira left behind and hid in the deepest part of Mount Dreamhaven's forest. My days were uneventful. Occasionally I would guide spirited creatures in their cultivation, and they evolved into sprites, diligently striving for ascension. One ordinary day, countless divine birds appeared from nowhere, carrying innumerable treasures. A little fairy knelt before me, bowing respectfully. Mountain, Lord of Dreamhaven, Our Lady of the Lake wishes to discuss a marriage proposal. I pointed at myself, dropping my roast chicken leg in shock. Me? The Mountain Lord? She's proposing to me? She must have the wrong person. No, you are not mistaken. Mount Dreamhaven has been protected by an immortal for 100 years, and the heavens recognize only you as the Mountain Lord. I picked up my chicken leg, brushing it off. What is your lady's name? Lady of the Lake, the little fairy smiled sweetly. And here she comes now. A streak of white light descended from the sky, trailed by a radiant sunset. The aroma of roasted meat and fish filled the air. Mira waved at me, showing off a plump bun in her hand. Marcus, I've come to get you.